Disney World charges $1,000 a day for a family of 4 before anyone's bought a meal or a souvenir. The least you can do is know what you're walking into. There are things veterans never tell first-timers, things Disney doesn't advertise, and things people learn the hard way and then wish they hadn't. So here's your warning. Don't visit Disney World again until you watch this. The pricing system is designed to confuse you. Before you even step foot in the park, the pricing is already working against you, and it does so by being so complicated that most people give up trying to optimize it and just pay whatever they're quoted. Disney uses dynamic ticket pricing, which means the same one-day ticket to Magic Kingdom can cost anywhere from around $109 to over $189 depending on the date you choose. This is not random. Disney has mapped its historical attendance data and priced every single day of the year according to its predicted crowding level. Tickets are cheapest on slow weekdays in late January or early September when attendance is lowest and the parks are most manageable. They are most expensive on the days that everyone instinctively wants to visit: holiday weekends, spring break, Thanksgiving week, the period around Christmas when the parks are simultaneously at their most decorated and their most overwhelmingly crowded. The practical consequence of dynamic pricing is that a family that does minimal research and books a trip on a convenient school holiday is paying the maximum possible price for the maximum possible crowds. A family that does the same research you'd apply to buying airline tickets, looking for the cheapest dates that still work for their schedule, can save hundreds of dollars on tickets alone before touching hotel costs or anything else. The difference between booking a week in late August versus Thanksgiving week is significant enough to fund multiple additional park days. Park hopper tickets, which allow entry to multiple parks in a single day, cost significantly more than single park tickets and come with a restriction that many visitors don't know about. You can't begin park hopping until 2 p.m. This changes the calculus considerably for families who were planning to spend the morning at Epcot before heading to Magic Kingdom for the afternoon. The restriction exists for crowd management purposes and has been in place since the pandemic era reopening. Know this before you buy the upgrade. Disney's ticket prices also don't include Lightning Lane Access, which is the paid queue skipping system that replaced FastPass in 2021. Lightning Lane comes in 2 forms: Lightning Lane Multipass, which lets you book return times for a selection of attractions for around $15 to $30 per person per day, depending on the date, and Lightning Lane Single Pass, which lets you pay separately for the most popular attractions at a per attraction cost that can run $10 to $25 per ride. In other words, the ticket you paid $150 to $189 for doesn't actually include the ability to avoid the 3-hour wait for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. That's extra. Disney would prefer you to discover this at the park rather than factor it into the original budget, and many visitors do exactly that. Budget for it in advance and the day goes more smoothly. The resort hotel rate doesn't include Lightning Lane either, nor does it include parking. If you're driving to the parks from a Disney hotel, you don't pay for parking at the parks. But if you're driving from off-site, daily parking costs around $30 per vehicle. These are not hidden fees in the technical sense, but they're not prominently advertised, and they have a way of making the final bill feel substantially different from what was anticipated when the trip was booked. The timing of your day matters more than you think. The single most valuable thing any experienced Disney visitor will tell you is this: arrive at Rope Drop and use the afternoon for lunch, rest, and pool time. Rope drop is the term Disney fans use for the moment the park opens to guests, and arriving at or before it is the most effective crowd management strategy available that doesn't cost additional money. The first 2 hours after a park opens are consistently the period with the shortest wait times for popular attractions because most visitors don't arrive until mid-morning. A family that arrives at Magic Kingdom at park opening goes directly to Tiana's Bayou Adventure or Cosmic Rewind or whatever the current must-do attraction is, and follows it with 2 or 3 more high-priority rides can accomplish in 2 morning hours what would take 5 or 6 hours in the afternoon. Guests staying at Disney resort hotels get early entry, 30 minutes inside the parks before official opening time. This is not a trivial advantage. 30 minutes of near-empty park access on the most popular rides is genuinely, measurably valuable in a way that the marketing brochure doesn't fully convey. It's one of the clearer remaining justifications for paying resort hotel prices over staying off-property. The midday period, roughly noon to 4 or 5 in the afternoon, is the most crowded and least enjoyable time to be in the parks. This is when most visitors arrive, when the Florida heat and humidity peak in summer, and when wait times for major attractions reach their daily maximum. Using this window for lunch, a resort pool break, or simply a nap back at the hotel and returning refreshed for the evening is a strategy that experienced visitors swear by and first-timers almost never follow because it feels counterintuitive to leave when you've paid this much to be there. Eat when people ride and ride when people eat. Schedule your dining reservations at off-peak times, 11:30 a.m. before the lunch rush or 4 p.m. before the dinner wave, and use the peak meal windows to hit the attractions. Wait times for major rides often drop noticeably during the noon to 2 p.m. lunch window. Dining reservations are not optional. If you want to eat at any table service restaurant at Walt Disney World and you want to actually get a seat, you need to have made that reservation 60 days before your visit. Not 10 days, not a week before. 60 days. Disney's dining reservation system opens booking 60 days out, and restaurants like Cinderella's Royal Table, Space 220, Oga's Cantina, Topolino's Terrace, and Ohana book up within hours of that window opening, sometimes within minutes. Guests staying at a Disney resort hotel get a modest advantage. They can book starting 60 days before the first day of their stay for the entire duration of the stay. A 5-night resort guest can book dining for day 5 of the trip 65 days before it happens. For high-demand restaurants, this extra window can be decisive. If you've missed the 60-day window and still want a specific restaurant, check availability the night before or the morning of your visit. Disney requires cancellations at least 2 hours before the reservation time. Guests who've made reservations they can no longer use often cancel the night before, opening slots that weren't available during the standard booking window. Apps like Touring Plans offer free alert services that notify you when a reservation at your desired restaurant becomes available for your date. What's less obvious is that some of the best dining on Disney property requires no reservation at all. Many Disney restaurants have atmospheric lounges that offer a full menu of food and drinks without the table service reservation requirement. Nomad Lounge at Animal Kingdom is one of the best kept secrets in the parks. Its tapas-style menu is genuinely excellent. The atmosphere is extraordinary, and you can walk up without a reservation and almost certainly find a seat. Trader Sam's Grog Grotto at the Polynesian is an experience in itself, with a theatrical bar environment and some of the most creative cocktails on property. If you want Ohana's famous noodles but don't want to pay the prix-fixe price for a full Ohana dinner, you can order them from Tambu Lounge next door. They're not on the printed menu, but you can ask. The cast members know. Free things Disney doesn't advertise. Disney World has a remarkable number of legitimately free experiences that don't make it into the promotional materials because they don't require purchasing anything extra. Free ice water is available at any quick service restaurant that serves fountain drinks. Just ask a cast member for a cup of ice water. This is not a secret, it's Disney policy, but the number of people who spend $5 on a bottled water they didn't need to buy is significant enough that it warrants mentioning. Free buttons. Guest relations locations at every park give out buttons for birthdays, anniversaries, first visits, and a handful of other occasions. You simply ask. Cast members throughout the park will notice the button and frequently acknowledge it, sometimes with unexpected small kindnesses, a complimentary dessert, a front-of-the-line acknowledgement, just a warmer interaction. The buttons cost Disney nothing and generate a disproportionate amount of goodwill. The Main Street mailboxes in Magic Kingdom are real, functioning United States mailboxes collected daily by Disney cast members who pass the mail to the USPS. You can bring a postcard and stamp from home, or buy both inside the park. Drop it in the mailbox, and get it postmarked with an exclusive Disney World postmark available from Guest Relations. For kids especially, sending a postcard from inside Cinderella's kingdom has a different weight than mailing one from the airport on the way home. The flag retreat ceremony on Main Kingdom's town square takes place daily around 5 p.m., precisely because U.S. flag code specifies the flag should fly only from sunrise to sunset. The ceremony involves the Dapper Dans, the park's barbershop quartet, and occasionally a military veteran who is invited to participate in the lowering. It's a genuinely moving 5 minutes that the overwhelming majority of park guests walk past without stopping. The flags elsewhere in the park, incidentally, are technically not real American flags. They're missing a star or stripe, which exempts them from the flag code and means they can fly after dark. Hidden Mickeys are everywhere. Subtle silhouettes of Mickey Mouse's iconic three-circle shape worked into ride cues, wallpaper, floor patterns, and architectural details by the park's Imagineers. There are thousands of them. Hunting them is free, turns waiting in line into a game, and gives observant visitors a reason to look more carefully at environments that reward close attention. The underground tunnels are real and you can see them. Disney World's Magic Kingdom is built on an elevated platform, and underneath it runs a network of service tunnels, called utilidors, a portmanteau of utility corridors, that allow cast members, supplies, and equipment to move invisibly around the park without passing through the themed areas above. This was Walt Disney's solution to the problem he'd encountered at Disneyland in California, where the single-level layout meant costumed characters sometimes had to walk through the wrong themed land because there was no invisible route between areas. A cowboy from Frontierland walking through Tomorrowland to get to a break room breaks the immersion Walt cared deeply about maintaining. The solution for Walt Disney World was to build the entire Magic Kingdom on an elevated concrete platform, essentially a second story, with the utilidors running at ground level below. The Florida terrain is low enough and the water table high enough that the tunnels aren't truly underground in the way underground usually suggests. They're under the park, but at actual ground level. The Magic Kingdom you walk through is, literally, a first floor built on top of a ground floor that guests never see. The utilidors are not publicly accessible during a regular park visit, but they can be accessed on the Keys to the Kingdom tour, a 5-hour walking tour priced at $149 to $169 per person, not including park admission, that takes guests through restricted backstage areas of the Magic Kingdom, includes lunch, attraction access, and a walk through the tunnels themselves. Cast members who've worked in the park for decades lead the tour, and the level of operational detail they share, how food is produced, how waste is managed, how costumed characters navigate between lands, how the electrical and water systems work beneath the theming above, is genuinely not available anywhere else short of working there. For serious Disney enthusiasts, it's among the best $200 per person you can spend on the property. A related piece of information: the buildings on Main Street, USA, are built on forced perspective, a design technique that makes the buildings appear taller than they actually are by scaling the upper stories progressively smaller. The ground floor is built to full scale. The second floor is built at approximately 5/8 scale. The third floor, where it exists, is smaller still. This makes the street feel more grand and cinematic than its actual dimensions would produce. Once you know to look for it, you'll see it everywhere Disney has used the technique. What Genie Plus actually is, and whether you need it. The Lightning Lane system that replaced FastPass in 2021 is genuinely useful, but frequently misunderstood, and the confusion costs people either money or time, sometimes both. Lightning Lane Multipass works like the old FastPass Plus system, but costs money. You pay a per-person daily fee, currently $15 to $30, varying by date, and can book one Lightning Lane return time at a time from a selection of participating attractions. Once you use or miss a booking, you can book the next one. The most in-demand attractions, currently including Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind, and Tron Light Cycle/Run, are not included in Multipass and require purchasing Lightning Lane Single Pass separately at per-person per-attraction prices that can run $10 to $25. For families with young children who will ride most attractions anyway, and for whom the physical experience of any particular ride is the point, Multipass is usually worth the cost on busy days. For adults who specifically want the marquee thrill rides and are otherwise happy to wait in standby lines for the rest, Single Pass for the 1 or 2 must-do attractions is often a better value than Multipass plus Single Pass for everything. The important thing to know is that Lightning Lane is a system that rewards early planning. Purchase Multipass as early in the morning as possible, beginning at 7 a.m. for resort hotel guests, at park opening for everyone else. The most popular return times for the most popular rides book up within an hour of the system opening. Having a clear priority list and moving through it efficiently at 7 a.m. from your phone before you've even finished breakfast is how experienced visitors use the system. The parks have secret entrances and better exits. Animal Kingdom has a secondary entrance through the Rainforest Cafe gift shop that bypasses the main entrance area. The main gate queues can get long at park opening, and the gift shop entrance puts you inside the park without the bottleneck. Cast members are aware of it and will redirect you if needed, but it works. Magic Kingdom after fireworks is one of the most chaotic crowd moments at Disney World, with tens of thousands of guests all trying to exit through Main Street simultaneously. The experienced exit strategy is to move through the shops on Main Street, USA, after the fireworks rather than through the street itself. The shops that line Main Street all connect to each other internally, forming a climate-controlled corridor that moves at a different pace than the shoulder-to-shoulder street outside. You're still heading toward the park exit, you're just doing it without the crowds pressing in from three sides. The Resort Monorail Loop, the slower monorail that stops at the resort hotels around the Seven Seas Lagoon, typically has shorter wait times after park closing than the express monorail that runs directly between Magic Kingdom and the Transportation and Ticket Center. The express line looks more efficient because it's a direct route, but everyone else has the same idea. The resort loop gets you to the TTC just as fast and with less jostling. What your kids actually need to have a good day. None of the planning strategies for rides and dining matter if the humans you brought to the park are depleted. The logistical reality of a Disney World day, early mornings, miles of walking in Florida heat, sensory overload from the time you arrive to the time you leave, hits children and adults differently, and ignoring the human biology component is how Disney trips go wrong in ways that no lightning lane strategy can fix. The average Disney World visitor walks 7 to 12 miles in a single park day. In summer heat and humidity that routinely pushes the heat index above 100 degrees Fahrenheit from June through August, with children who may or may not have slept well in an unfamiliar hotel room the night before. Building in rest, genuine, off-your-feet rest in a cool environment, at the midday heat peak is not a concession to weakness. It's basic resource management, and the families who do it consistently have better afternoons and evenings than the families who push through. The concept that experienced Disney visitors call the midday break is simple. After the morning rope drop session, return to the resort hotel around noon, eat lunch somewhere with air conditioning, allow children to swim or nap for 2 or 3 hours, and return to the park refreshed in the late afternoon. You will see more, enjoy more, and spend less time miserable in the heat than you would if you'd spent those same hours trying to manage cranky children through 90-minute standby queues at 1 p.m. in August. The pool at your resort hotel is not a waste of the money you spent on park tickets. It's a recovery tool. Snacks and hydration. Florida summer heat and 8 hours of walking creates dehydration faster than most people expect. Free ice water is available at every quick service restaurant. Use it. Bring a small backpack with snacks. You know your children will eat, because the alternative is a child who won't eat anything available in the park and is hungry and increasingly difficult to manage at exactly the moment the afternoon gets hard. Disney allows outside food with limited exceptions, and a bag of pretzels and some fruit snacks weighs almost nothing. First aid centers at each park are more useful than most visitors realize. Beyond genuine medical situations, they dispense free basic over-the-counter medications, pain relievers, antacids, motion sickness medication, have band-aids, provide ice packs, and offer a cold, quiet, air-conditioned space to sit down and recalibrate when the afternoon has simply been too much. They are staffed by actual medical professionals. If anyone in your party isn't feeling right, the first aid center is a better first stop than trying to push through. One parent who'd visited multiple times noted that she started using first aid centers not for emergencies, but as a scheduled cool-down stop, because the quiet and the air conditioning alone were worth the few minutes it took to walk there. What's actually worth your money? The most honest assessment of what deserves the spend at Disney World is different from what the marketing prioritizes, and it starts with the same principle that applies to any major purchase. Specific and irreplaceable is worth more than generic and expensive. At Disney World specifically, the things most worth the premium are the experiences that can't be replicated anywhere else on Earth. Rise of the Resistance in Star Wars, Galaxy's Edge is probably the most ambitious ride experience ever constructed inside a theme park. It combines multiple rooms, moving vehicles, screen sequences, live performers, and practical set pieces into a single experience that takes roughly 20 minutes and routinely leaves first-time riders stunned. People who've been to Disney World multiple times will specifically plan a trip around riding it again. You don't quite understand why until you've done it, at which point you understand completely. Pandora. The world of Avatar at Animal Kingdom has the most atmospherically successful nighttime environment in any Disney park. The bioluminescent flora that activates after dark makes the land feel genuinely alien, something that daylight photos don't fully convey. The Navi River Journey ride inside it is peaceful and slow rather than thrilling, which makes it consistently underrated by guests expecting a major thrill ride and consistently appreciated by families with young children who found everything else too intense. Tiran Light Cycle / Run at Magic Kingdom opened in 2023 and represents the park's most modern coaster experience. A motorcycle-style launch coaster that is genuinely fast and visually spectacular both on the ride and from the outside. It's one of the rides for which Lightning Lane Single Pass is most justifiable, because the standby wait on busy days regularly exceeds 2 hours, and the ride is over in roughly 90 seconds. Victoria and Albert's at the Grand Floridian is the only AAA 5-diamond restaurant in Central Florida, and one of a small number of its caliber in the entire state. It is expensive even by Disney standards. The prix-fixe menu runs well over $200 per person before wine. Reservations are genuinely difficult to obtain even with early planning, and children under 10 are not admitted. For adults celebrating something specific with a significant dinner budget, it's worth considering seriously as an experience that is genuinely in a different category from anything else available on Disney property. What's less worth the spend? Any generic bundled attraction ticket for a wax museum or experience venue that could exist in any tourist district in any city, any restaurant in a high-traffic area, with no specific culinary reputation to justify its prices, and souvenirs purchased during the first few hours of the first day before you've established what you actually want to take home. The last one is specific advice that almost nobody follows on their first trip and almost everyone regrets. The one thing most people don't know. Disney World has a working, functional post office. The Main Street mailboxes in Magic Kingdom, as mentioned. But what even fewer guests know is that the City Hall building on Main Street, USA, which serves as the main guest relations location inside the park, has a phone, a real phone, you can call it. Disney's internal phone directory is not public information, but the guest relations number for Magic Kingdom's City Hall is available online, and visitors have actually called from outside the park to ask questions. Probably not useful, but genuinely worth knowing about as a piece of trivia about how thoroughly Disney has committed to the theme. Disney World is a lot. It's expensive, physically demanding, logistically complex, and designed at every level to encourage spending that you hadn't planned on. The guests who get the most out of it are the ones who arrived knowing what they were walking into. The rest, as they say, is magic. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on more fascinating stories.